Discipline prevailed.
Predators had their place.
The circle endured. Respect defended them.
Strength remained for another day.
This distance was strategy.
Leadership meant restraint.
Harmony outlasted fear.
Predators followed their own laws.
Boundaries were understood.
Not every threat required force.
Isolation demanded wisdom. Survival favored patience.
Balance brought another quiet morning.
Vigilance replaced fear. The land remained watchful. Respect was their defense.
Preparation prevented loss.
Survival required humility. Distance kept peace.
Wisdom endured longer than strength.
Winter always watched. Survival was not conquest. In the end, survival belonged to those who chose respect over fear. Fear was not the strategy, avoidance was. The Lakota did not conquer predators. They learned to live beside them. Survival began with restraint. Every track demanded a decision. The circle of homes was sacred.
Some indigenous hunters waited in silence.
Silence was their shield.
Instinct said chase.
Experience said conserve strength.
Winter punished. Reckless pride.
Even hunger required patience.
Deep winter allowed no mistakes.
Avoidance preserved life.
The Lakota listened, but did not answer. Respect shaped survival. Then the distance narrowed.
The signs were clear.
The storm strengthened.
Warmth had to hold.
The balance trembled.
Two threats shared the cold.
Panic wasted strength.
The land became the enemy.
Courage was control.
One wrong step meant death.
The night pressed closer.
Light could betray them.
Leadership steadied fear.
The test reached its edge.
Stillness held the line.
Morning revealed the truth.
The boundary had held.
The wolves chose distance.
So did the cougar.
Confrontation was unnecessary.
Warmth returned without bloodshed.
Understand the path ahead, grandsons. It is not always the strongest who survive, but the wisest.
Avoidance preserves strength.
Lessons were learned without battle.
On nights like this, many settlers never woke up. Big rooms, thin blankets, and empty space between bodies bled their warmth away. While native families turned themselves into one living blanket of heat.
Two worlds, same storm. Very different ideas of sleep.
Survival started long before bedtime, with where you chose to face the storm. Lakota leaders looked for places where the land itself blocked the wind.
Settlers often picked high ground for sight and pride, not for warmth.
Huge flames impressed the eye, but did little for frozen feet and fingers.
Lakota firekeepers aimed for steady coals and hot stones, not fireworks.
Those stones would become silent heaters long after the flames calmed down. They buried warmth under their beds, so the earth itself breathed heat upward.
No one slept on naked ground. Every layer slowed the cold.
Across the prairie, many white families trusted boards and thin cloth to stop the cold.
Their floors acted like giant ice blocks under their bodies.
Lakota women hunted for cold patches and smothered them in fur.
They placed bodies like pieces in a puzzle, matching strength to cold.
Even sleeping positions followed rules, not accidents.
Settlers sometimes put their youngest right where the cold struck hardest.
Distance and thin fabric left small bodies exposed to winter's teeth.
Lakota children slept inside the warmest core of the family.
Warmth flowed from one heartbeat to the next. Then came the test. A night when the sky became solid white and the air tried to cut through bone. Fear led them to feed the fire instead of fixing the leaks.
Most of that warmth never touched the people who needed it.
Lakota firekeepers shrank the flame and trusted the heated earth. They sealed their shell before the storm could pry it open.
In many cabins, wind and snow barged in like rude guests. One culture turned doors into shields. The other left them half open to the storm.
Group sleep turned many small shivers into one strong hearth.
They kept their feet where the invisible river of warmth flowed.
White families often slept like islands in a bitter sea of cold air. Cold rose freely from the floor, eating away at warmth all night long.
By midnight, the storm had stripped away every sign of direction or distance.
Inside the lodge, design and discipline did the heavy lifting.
He kept the line between warmth and smoke in perfect balance.
In many cabins, the fire either roared wastefully or choked them when they needed it most.
Every mistake took more warmth than they could spare. Lakota families fought the storm by doing almost nothing, saving every heartbeat.
Their bodies stayed in a narrow zone between discomfort and danger.
As the sky lightened, the land held its breath to see who had made it through.
In many lodges, everyone woke up to see another storm-scoured morning.
They had done enough, not to be comfortable, but to survive.
Their homes looked small, but they had done their job. Some cabins, though, no longer breathed.
Many settlers paid in lives for designs that fought the land instead of working with it.
In the Tipis, people woke hungry, exhausted, but alive.
They fed their circle so it could keep making warmth together.
After every storm, they repaired and improved their defenses.
Strength did not come from one perfect build, but from constant adjustment.
They saw too many wooden boxes that had failed the people inside them. Two different answers to the same deadly question.
Elders used comparisons to explain why their way worked better in this land.
Even the youngest could see where sleeping made sense and where it did not.
Group sleep versus lonely beds. Warmed earth versus cold planks. The differences were simple, but huge.
These were technologies of survival, refined over generations without blueprints or books.
Settler houses often copied milder climates instead of listening to this one.
For Lakota families, storm nights were frightening, but also familiar drills.
Every winter, they repeated the same hard lessons until they became instinct.
They knew their roles in the night's plan to keep hearts beating. One system trapped heat close. The other leaked it away in every direction. The people who slept together, layered their floors, and hid from the wind, woke up again.
This land rewarded those who learned from it and punished those who ignored it.
That is how Native Americans slept warm during blizzard nights, by redesigning sleep itself into a shared...
Lose the buffalo, risk multiplies. In winter, buffalo broke paths and absorbed the hunger of predators.
Their size and numbers drew teeth away from everything smaller.
Wolves risked the herd's horns instead of hunting scattered families. For the Lakota Sioux, buffalo were both neighbors and shields.
The buffalo provides everything we need to survive the cold moons.
Their clothing, beds, and roofs all came from the same animal.
Buffalo hides trapped heat that naked skin could never keep.
Every part of the animal had a place in winter life.
Even their houses wore buffalo skins against the cold.
The strength of each lodge depended on the strength of its hides.
Stored buffalo skins were like stored fire and armor combined.
Even children understood that buffalo meant warmth and full stomachs.
As long as herds roamed, wolves focused on them, not the village.
Predators shadowed the great animals, not scattered human families.
Hunters studied how wolves read buffalo, so they could read wolves.
They learned that buffalo carried danger away as much as they carried meat.
The herd size made it worth the wolves' risk.
That same size pulled pressure away from the ring of typhus.
Wolves follow herds first, people second.
He explained that buffalo stood between them and becoming the next target.
Most nights, the pack's attention stayed out where hooves thundered.
Sometimes the herd and wolves left a gift on the snow. The people took what they needed from the same animal that fed the pack.
They turned the leftovers into offerings that kept predators busy elsewhere.
With plenty on the ground, there was little reason to test a ring of armed humans.
Buffalo turned into long-term winter food, hanging safely inside human territory.
Each strip meant fewer desperate hunts in dangerous weather.
Buffalo stood at the center of a balance between hunger and safety.
But when herds thinned, the edges of that balance sharpened. With fewer buffalo, the pack's hunger had more room to wander.
The scent of people and dogs grew more interesting when hooves grew scarce.
People had to travel longer, burning more energy to find meat.
Their own trails began to matter more to predators than the fading path of the herd.
The pack tested new stories in the snow.
Elders understood that losing buffalo meant moving deeper into risk.
Their whole world was tied to the animals they followed. Where buffalo still walked, people and wolves both converged. Buffalo bodies formed a living wall between camps and predators. For the young, the animal was blanket, shelter, and guardian all at once. While jaws worked the herd, human lodges stayed in the background.
He drew it simple. Buffalo first, wolves second, people last.
Even the barrier against the storm carried the strength of the herds. Those hides turned thin bodies into something predators would rather avoid.
Skulls and bones reminded them of the debt they owed the herds.
Without fresh carcasses, wolves had more reason to test new doors.
The village could feel when buffalo shields were thinning. Their plans now focused on preserving what buffalo remained.
Every good skin became a barrier against freezing and fear.
They squeezed extra seasons from each gift the herds had left.
As long as buffalo still played their part, the pack hesitated at the edge.
The triangle of people, wolves, and buffalo defined winter on the plains.
Wolves teach respect and buffalo teach gratitude. He said buffalo took the first hit from hunger and cold.
The young learned to imagine their village, sheltered under the body of the herd.
Most nights, that invisible body still stood between teeth and hide walls. Their reading of snow confirmed that the shield still held. He knew that as long as buffalo survived, his people had room to breathe. The herds absorbed the first and worst of winter's costs.
The same animal that fed wolves fed families more completely.
Each shape had its own role in keeping the others alive, or at bay. Buffalo kept cold teeth from reaching human bones.
As long as there was something else to eat, people were less interesting.
If the buffalo go, hunger and wolves will press closer.
He tied their safety directly to the fate of the herds.
The next generation learned that survival was bigger than their own small circle.
In this hard season, buffalo were more than food. They were a living shield.
Lose the buffalo, risk multiplies. With them, winter had teeth. Without them, winter had fangs pointed straight at the